With me on the line now is Capital Networks Technology and Support Services Analyst, Ed Stacey. Ed, morning to you.
Good morning, hi.
Ed, we're talking Boss Global. Introduce the company to us first of all.
So Boss Global is a software company. It provides solutions for making workplaces more productive. That's something called the Boss 360 platform is their product. And this is a tool for knowledge workers, so sales teams, financial services, etc. So when we're talking productivity software, we're not talking sort of inventory management in a factory. We're talking human productivity in knowledge businesses, paid for by license fee per user, i.e. per individual worker user. And that may call to mind for you some systems you probably would have encountered already, things like you can get timesheet software for telling you what the workers are doing at any time. You can get call sheets for saying who's called which clients. Now, Boss 360 does have some functionalities in common with systems that are in the market, but what makes it completely unique is at the heart of Boss 360 is pattern recognition. So it's not about just logging workers' activities. The Boss 360, the whole concept is that it can spot what patterns of behaviors from workers, and it also looks at information flow within the company and who's sharing information with other teams, and it's spotting patterns that actually drive productivity, that drive sales, drive efficiencies. So in that sense, it's a completely unique kind of system. Before we go any further, actually, there's a lot of information you can get about this on the internet. I suggest people do look at that, the company's website. There's blogs that write about it, all kinds of interesting things. But a big caveat, Boss got its listing via a reverse takeover about 6 months ago, and that was from a company called Forte Energy. Now, if you look at the BOS ticker, what you'll find is there's financial information that actually relates to Forte Energy, and you can even find some blogs out there are still writing about Forte Energy, and that's gone. It's not part of it. Boss Global never did have any operating relationship with Forte Energy. There's also a nominal £3 million, a big number, charge that goes into the P&L accounts for Boss Global because of that reverse takeover. That's not cash. They haven't paid out and don't have to pay out $3 million of cash. That's an accounting charge. But I just want to tell people, be really careful with the historic data because you're looking at Forte Energy or you're looking at accounting for how that all happened. And one last thing on that, this morning there's a sale of an asset. Nice sale, actually, £500,000. That's for selling off some legacy rights, mining rights that actually came through the reverse takeover. But so that's sold now this morning, so that's a little bit of information that's out today.
I'm glad you clarified that, Ed. I've spoken to Michael Travier a number of times in the studio. It does seem there has been some confusion in the past between Boss Global and Forte, so good that you drew the line in the sand there for us.
Yeah, I mean, for people who know about these things, reverse takeovers are a common mechanism. But if you don't know, then you can confuse yourself, can't you?
Absolutely. Of course, Boss Global, big plans, big ambitions. What's the future hold for them?
Yeah, I mean, there's huge potential growth in the market. I mean, in a sense, hard to say what is the market for this product, because as I said, it's a unique product. It doesn't exactly compare to anything in the market. But in our report, the Capital Networks report that we put out, we give a few examples of how the market might be scoped. And you're looking at a $100 billion marketplace, at least. And the interesting thing with Boss Global is the route to market offers them the chance to expand very quickly. I want to explain briefly what platform as a service means, the PaaS business model. Now, this is one of the types of business model that exists. Companies already use it for cloud computing. So in cloud computing, you can get something called software as a service. That's where you access a particular software app via the cloud, and you pay a license fee for accessing it. Platform as a service is a bit more expensive than that. You access the software, but you also have a set of tools for modifying the software or for integrating it with your existing system. So it gives a lot more flexibility to the user. It's a sort of high-growth business model in general. Lots of companies looking at this business model. The reason Boss have chosen it is because it opens up the possibility of a lot of good, fast routes to market. You have software vendors who can repackage the Boss 360 platform and configure it for specific clients that they deal with and resell it in that way. You also have professional service firms like consultancies who like to have their own proprietary software, but rather than build their proprietary software from scratch, what they can do is take the Boss 360 platform and build whatever functionality they want onto it. What it means is that you can have some very quick access to the customer base via these sort of partnering channels. One example is a business called Call Design. Boss Global bought a 40% stake in them back in March. Call Design is in the call center space, and we think that by making this strategic partnership with Call Design, Boss Global has maybe fivefold increased its immediate proximate pipeline of potential clients. So you can see, you make these kind of partnerships, your marketplace expands rapidly. And that's why we think there is virtually no speed limit for Boss Global in terms of how fast this product can get out into the market.
So things are going very quickly for them, Ed. What's the potential valuation that you've put on them?
Yeah, now that's always an interesting one. We basically remember this is a startup business, effectively. So your share price outcomes, always a sort of wide range of outcomes. Now, in our Capital Network report, we did some scenario analysis. The first scenario, we're showing you potentially 130% upside over 3 years. So that sounds quite interesting. But if you look at, the share price, what it's done so far this year, it's already doubled in the last few months. So, this is startup companies for you. If things move, they move fast. My other scenarios, second scenario, we've got the share price increasing tenfold. And in that case, Boss Global would still be a tiny, tiny player in the productivity solution space. And then our final scenario, we've got them increasing 50-fold share price. Yes, a 50-fold increase of the share price up to £7.50 in 3 years. And even in that case, they would still be a very, very small player in the market as a whole. So we're not talking about taking over the world. You can get a big, big increase in the share price. One of the reasons you can do that is because there's a low capital requirement and there's a low fixed cost base. So they can expand without having to add a lot of headcount or add a lot of asset. And that means, you can do this expansion fast if it happens. And there will be milestones coming up soon. Just within a few weeks, we expect the full commercial launch of the Boss 360 platform. And then the company has some ambitious targets. They believe by the end of this year, they can be at a break-even run rate. Now, by our calculations, we think that would mean 10,000 plus individual users by the end of this year. So you're going to see, between now and the end of this year, there'll be plenty to look at in terms of progress and to prove that this growth really is happening. So it's not one where you're going to have to sit and wait for a very long time to see results.
Very good, Ed. Appreciate your analysis. Thanks very much indeed.
Okay, thank you.
Ed Stacey there, Capital Network's Technology and Support Services Analyst, talking through Boss Global.